Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel, Homeopathy Super Sessions by Dr. Jacos. Today I'll be doing another important topic, that is a brief life and contributions of the early pioneers after Hahnemann. So totally I've divided it into 5 parts, and in each part I've taken the important contributor or the important pioneer after Hahnemann. So today we will study the following pioneers: Dr. Clemens Maria Franz von Boenninghausen, Dr. James Tyler Kent, Dr. Constantine Herring, Dr. Rajanlal Datta, Dr. Mahendralal Sirkar, and Dr. Binoy Kumar Sarkar. So these 6 pioneers I'll be doing with you all in 5 different parts. So today we take up Dr. Boenninghausen. Dr. Clemens Maria Franz von Boenninghausen was born on 12th March 1785 at Obersel. He was born to an Australian family in the Netherlands. His father's name was Ludwig Ernest von Boenninghausen. His mother's name was Teresa. He had 5 brothers and sisters. Education and service. In 1806, at the age of 18, he graduated from the Dutch University of Groningen with the degree of Doctor of Civil and Criminal Law. He held influential position at the court of Louis of Napoleon, King of Holland. He remained in the Dutch civil service until the resignation of the king in 1810. Thereafter, he also retired from the Dutch services. In 1812, he got married. He devoted himself to develop the state agriculture and became greatly interested in agriculture and allied sciences, particularly botany. His profound interest in botany and medicine successfully made him approve of medicines from the plant kingdom. He wrote many articles from the famous Journal of Agricultural Botany, that is Menschlichen Annalen. In 1816, he was appointed as president of Provincial Court of Justice for the Westphalia district. In 1822, he became one of the general commissioners of Rhine, or the Register of the Land in Rhine. During his period, he traveled a lot and studied botany and medicine. He published a book, Flora and Fauna of the Rhineland. It covered the abundant flora in these districts and caught the attention of some of the best botanists of Europe. Thus, due to his immense interest in horticulture, he was appointed as the director of botanical gardens of Munster. He was known as the Sage of Munster. He was honored for his work by botanists E. Springle and Rackenbach. His keen interest in botany resulted in 2 genus of plants being named after him. Thus, Boenninghausen was a baron by inheritance, a lawyer by profession, and an agriculturist by natural inclination. Now, important conversion to homeopathy. On account of his personal experience, he was inclined towards homeopathy. During the prime of his life, in the autumn of 1827, he contracted purulent pulmonary tuberculosis. In spite of taking the best orthodox treatment, he did not improve until 1828. He became disheartened and lost the will to live. He then wrote a farewell letter to his friend, Dr. August Wey, MD of Overden, stressing his hopelessness for life and bidding him a last goodbye. Dr. A. Wey was the first homeopathic physician in the province of Rhineland and Westphalia. On hearing the symptom of Boenninghausen, he sent him some homeopathic medicine. Boenninghausen took the medicine according to the directions given, including advice on hygienic measures. Boenninghausen's recovery was slow but complete, and by the end of summer, he was cured. The name of the homeopathic medicine was Pulsatilla. This incident greatly impressed Boenninghausen and made him a firm believer of homeopathy. He then devoted the remainder of his life to the study of homeopathy at the age of 43 years. He strived hard to create an interest in homeopathy among the physicians with whom he came in contact. But unfortunately, his efforts were not well received, except for 2 elderly physicians who became interested in homeopathy, and Boenninghausen cured some of the stubborn cases. They remained faithful to homeopathy for the rest of their professional career. The response he obtained in popularizing the science of homeopathy was disappointing. Hence, he began to study the science of homeopathy in great depth. He carefully went through the writings of the master, and he was in regular correspondence with Dr. Hahnemann. Much of his systemic works concerning homeopathy was published between 1828 to 1846. At the same time, he was a regular contributor of articles of homeopathic subjects to various journals. By this time, Boenninghausen's fame had spread to France, Holland, and America. Many physicians were converted to practicing homeopathy through his correspondence and literary efforts. On account of his learning and practice, King Friedrich Wilhelm IV, on 11th of July, 1843, issued Boenninghausen all the rights and amenities of a practicing physician. Now, the contributions. His contribution to homeopathy stands next to Hahnemann. His outstanding contributions were classification of characteristic symptoms, compilation of the first repertory of antisoric remedies. He wrote to homeopaths to elaborate the class of characteristic symptoms as advised by Hahnemann in para 153 of Organon. It points out that the peculiar, striking, uncommon, and singular symptoms of the remedy are most important in the selection of a homeopathic remedy. He did not receive any reply nor any article on the subject of characteristic symptoms. Hence, he himself concentrated on the subject and published in his letter writings about the idea of classification of symptoms. He classified the characteristic symptoms into 7 categories. These 7 categories form the characteristic totality of symptoms for the selection of simillimum. The 7 categories of characteristic symptoms are as follows. Number 1, quiz of personality of the patient. Number 2, quid, peculiarities of complaints. Number 3, UB, seat of disease. Number 4, cubis auxiliis, that's the concomitant symptoms. Number 5, cure, causations. Number 6, cumando, modalities of time. Number 7, quando, modalities of circumstances. The second task allotted to him by Hahnemann was to prepare a repertory to make it easy and quick to choose the correct homeopathic remedy. It was very difficult and at times time-consuming to select the simillimum from the vast materia medica. Hence, the idea of repertory was the only answer. Boenninghausen knew about the schema of Hahnemann. He knew all the proved antisoric remedies and the characteristic symptoms. Hence, he was the best person to compile the first repertory. Dr. Hahnemann commented that the repertory was very handy. The importance of characteristic symptoms was realized by every homeopath who wrote a materia medica after Boenninghausen. They were Dr. Hughes, who gave more importance to the pathological characteristics, Dr. H. N. Gunsey, Allen, and Nash, who attached more importance to keynote and characteristic symptoms, Dr. Lippi, Boger, Clark considered all the 7 categories of characteristic symptoms, Kent attached greatest importance to the mental symptoms, physical generals, and the modality generals. Now the literary works. He wrote The Cure of Cholera and its Preventive, 1832, Repertory of Antisoric Drugs, 1833, Summary View of Chief Sphere of Operation of Antisoric Remedies and their characteristic peculiarities as an appendix of the repertory. 1833, An Attempt at the Homeopathic Therapy of Intermittent Fever, Contribution to the Knowledge of Peculiarities of Homeopathic Remedies, Homeopathic Diet and a Complete Image of Disease, and 1834, Homeopathy, a Manual for the Non-Medical Public. 1835, Repertory medicines which are not antisoric. 1836, Attempt on showing the relative kingship of homeopathic medicines. 1845, Essay on homeopathic treatment of intermittent fevers. 1847, Therapeutic Manual for Homeopathic Physicians, Pocket Book for Homeopathic Physicians to be used at the sick bedside of the patient and the study of the homeopathic materia medica. 1849, Brief Instructions for Non-Physicians as to Prevention and the Cure of Cholera. 1843, The Two Sides of Human Body Relationships, Homeopathic Studies. 1853, The Homeopathic Domestic Physician in Brief, Therapeutic Diagnosis and Attempt. 1854, The Sides of the Body, Drug Affinities, and Homeopathic Exercise. 1860, The Homeopathic Treatment of Whooping Cough and its Various Forms. 1863, The Aphorisms of Hippocrates with Notes by a Homeopath and Pocketbook for Homeopathic Physicians. 1864, Attempt at the Homeopathic Therapy of Intermittent and Other Fevers, especially for would-be homeopaths. second augmented and revised edition, part 1, the Prexy. 1873, Homeopathy Therapeutics of Intermittent and Other Fevers. 1891, Therapeutic Pocketbook for Homeopathy Physicians to use at the bedside and study of Mater Medica. 1908, the lesser writings Boenninghausen was published by T.L. Bradford. Now the death. Boenninghausen remained physically and mentally active until ripe age, old age of 78 years. In the winter of 1862, he suffered from bronchial catarrh. However, he continued to attend his afternoon calls. After a walk on 24th January 1864, he suffered from a stroke of apoplexy and paralysis of the left side of the body. He died on 26 January 1864 at 3:45 a.m. at the age of 78 years, 10 months, and 14 days. On his death, the Elixir Homeopathy Zuntek wrote an obituary. So that's all. So for all the pioneers, you must know the date of birth, the date of death, then the conversion to homeopathy, and their important contributions. Of course, there are much more contributions still, but whatever you can remember, you have to remember and you have to reproduce it in the examination. Thank you for the hearing.